All right, folks, listen up, because today we're jumping into something wild. I'm sitting here at the mic, coffee in hand, brain firing at full capacity, and we're talking about a guy who might actually be superhuman. I'm not kidding. Tom Cruise. This dude isn't normal. Every time you think you figured him out, he does something so insane you have to stop and go, bro, how is this guy real? And I'm telling you right now, the stuff we're about to dig into, these 10 shocking facts, you've never heard them like this before. So buckle up tight in those headphones, take a deep breath, because this episode, this one's going to hit you like a Tom Cruise sprint straight into your soul. Tom Cruise, man. Listen, folks, buckle up because I'm about to dive deep into one of the most intense, most mysterious, most strangely unstoppable human beings to ever exist in Hollywood. And honestly, every time I hear something new about this guy, I feel like he's less of a person and more of some genetically engineered super actor created in a hidden government bunker where they inject people with pure adrenaline and crazy work ethic, because this guy's life doesn't make sense in the way normal humans function. And today we're talking about these 10 shocking things about Tom Cruise that most of you probably have never heard before, or maybe you've heard parts of them, but not the full, unfiltered Joe Rogan breakdown, because once you hear everything together, it hits you like one of those Mission Impossible explosions where he's sprinting full speed through chaos with that signature "I will outrun the apocalypse" expression on his face. And honestly, that sprint alone is a fact. No one runs in movies like Tom Cruise. He's like a gazelle on steroids. But let's start where it gets crazy, and that's the fact that Tom Cruise is one of the last real action daredevils left on planet E, Earth, because in a Hollywood era where actors cry if the set chair isn't comfortable or if the lighting doesn't hit their cheekbones in the perfect way, this dude wakes up in the morning and says, "You know what? I think I'm going to hang off the side of an airplane during takeoff today, and yeah, no harness, no stunt double, just me, some tape and a prayer." And he does it for real because he's addicted to pushing fear in the face and saying, "Not today." And the craziest part about that airplane stunt is that the plane actually took off with him hanging on the side like a Marvel character. And the director said, "Tom, are you sure?" And he's like, "Roll cameras." And they did it 8 times, not once, not twice, 8 times, because the first 7 didn't capture the dust particles the way he wanted. And when you start realizing how deep his obsession with perfection goes, you realize that this isn't an actor. This is some kind of cinematic monk who devotes his existence to doing things nobody else is insane enough to try. And maybe that comes from his childhood, because what a lot of people don't know is that Tom Cruise grew up dirt freaking poor, like no heat in the winter, moving constantly, struggling to survive poor, with a father he famously described as a bully and a coward, a guy who would snap on him. So Tom grew up fighting life from day one, hustling newspapers with his cyst, ERs at 4 a.m. just to help his mom pay rent. And that level of struggle builds a kind of fire that never goes out, you know, that David Goggins kind of pain fuel. And you can see it in everything Tom does, because he works like a man who still thinks he might lose everything tomorrow. And here's a wild twist. Before the fame, before the stunts, before the Hollywood madness, Tom Cruise literally wanted to become a Catholic priest, and even enrolled in a seminary, wearing robes and doing the whole training for priesthood thing, which is insane when you compare that to him later diving off cliffs on motorcycles like a demon shot out of a cannon. But it shows something about him: commitment, discipline, the desire to devote himself fully to a purpose, and acting became that purpose. And speaking of things people don't know, Tom Cruise's real name is not Tom Cruise. It's Thomas Cruise Maypother IV, Maypother, and that sounds like a villain from a British crime novel, like Lord Maypother of the Shadow Estate. So obviously Hollywood was like, yeah, no one's going to remember that, and boom, Tom Cruise was born, destined for movie history. But the story doesn't slow down. It gets crazier, because this man breaks bones like most people bruise elbows, and he keeps filming anyway. And this isn't an exaggeration. Like, During Mission Impossible Fallout, there's this scene where he jumps from one rooftop to another, misjudges the jump, slams hard into the wall, shatters his ankle, and still pulls himself up on the ledge and finishes the shot while his foot is dangling sideways. And as soon as he limps off camera, the director runs up and says, "Tom, your ankle is broken." And Tom goes, "Yeah, but did we get the shot?" And that mentality is insane. That's fighter mentality. That's elite athlete mentality. This is bigger than pain mentality, and it's why he's the only guy in Hollywood still doing this stuff in his 60s. And speaking of his 60s, bro, this guy trains like a Navy SEAL, not like an actor. He does free climbing, motorcycle stunt drills, underwater breath holding for 6 minutes, aviation combat maneuvers, hella jump training, daily strength conditioning, martial arts, like he's preparing for both a movie and the end of the world. And that's why he moves like someone half his age, because his discipline is next level. And when you think you've heard it all, you find out he can fly jets, legally, expertly, because he's a certified pilot for helicopters, commercial jets, stunt aircraft, fighter jets. And when you see him flying in Top Gun, Maverick, that's not CGI, that's not editing magic. That's actually him pulling real G's in the sky and not passing out like a normal human would, because he trains for that stuff like his life depends on it. And here's another insane thing. Directors and co-stars swear he has a photographic memory. He can absorb 100-page scripts overnight, memorize every line, every cue, every stunt sequence, every camera mark, and execute flawlessly by the next morning. And that's why he can do those insanely complex, long takes that would take other actors weeks to rehearse. And if you think Tom Cruise is only a hero in movies, think again. This dude has saved actual real-life people multiple times. Like once when he saw a woman get hit by a car, he stopped, helped her, stabilized her, called for help, and then paid all her medical bills because she didn't have insurance. Another time he rescued people from a burning yacht. Another time he pulled a drowning man from rough waters. And some people say he even chased down a mugger on the street. And honestly, that one sounds totally believable because Tom Cruise runs like a man whose life mission is defeating gravity itself. But all these facts lead to one final truth. Tom Cruise is obsessed with human potential, pushing limits, exploring the edge of what a human can do physically, mentally, spiritually, and creatively. And he's on this lifelong mission to reach some next level of human performance. And you hear him talk about it in interviews where he says things like, "I want to see how far I can push the human experience." And that's not normal actor talk. That's monk warrior talk. That's philosopher gladiator talk. And whether you think he's intense or weird or legendary or all of the above, you cannot deny that he is one of the last true movie icons. A guy who puts his body, his mind, his life into every role and doesn't just act like a hero. He lives like one, full throttle, no breaks, no fear, no excuses, just relentless forward motion. And honestly, folks, say what you want, but the world may never see another Tom Cruise again, because the combination of danger, dedication, madness, passion, discipline, chaos, and obsession that created him is not something Hollywood can manufacture or replace. And that is why he remains one of the most shocking, fascinating, and unstoppable forces in entertainment. NT history.